Thanks for staying with us. Welcome to the news at 5 on Channels Television. I'm Joke Rogers. Here are the news and reports we're tracking for you this hour. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has criticized the model of democracy practiced across much of Africa, stating that it lacks local context and fosters a winner-takes-all political culture. Speaking in Bauchi at the 2026 Goodluck Jonathan Foundation Democracy Dialogue, the former leader argued that inherited Western liberal democracy was not built for African realities, likening its implementation to wearing a dress designed for someone else.
The West, or the Western liberal democracy that we inherited, grew from monarchy. Hence, you can have government and loyal opposition, loyal to the monarchy. But when you talk of loyal opposition in an African setting, and I have gone into many of African languages, opposition means enemy. That's the word. Then do you have a loyal enemy? So what do you do with your enemy? You crush him and destroy him. And that's what you have. But when Western liberal democracy was developing, the monarch was there. And the government and opposition were all loyal. The democracy we practice has no African context, no African content. And if you try to practice, to use what is not meant for you, to serve your purpose,
Also speaking at the event, the presidential candidate of the Nigeria Democratic Congress for the 2027 election, Peter Obi, decried what he termed the severe erosion of democratic principles in Nigeria. The former Anambra State governor recalled spending 3 years in court to reclaim his mandate, noting that judges he had never met before delivered impartial judgments in his favor, an outcome he believes will be nearly impossible to achieve in Nigeria's current judicial landscape.
As somebody who benefited from Nigerian democracy and judiciary, I was just talking to somebody seated here, a judge of Supreme Court, who was a retired judge of Supreme Court, who I never met in my life, but he wrote the judgment that made me governor. I just stood down here and said, where will you get that type of judgment in Nigeria today? It's impossible. I never met her. I met her 2 years after being governor, and he tapped me and said, I am Judge so-so and so-so person. But he wrote my judgment. I was in court for 3 years, challenging my election. 5 governors that I never met one day gave judgment in my favor. It cannot happen in Nigeria of today. So if you look at that and look at what is happening today in Nigeria, where professors are now aiding illiterates to rig election, where our lawmakers have removed forgery as an offense in electoral matter. And senior advocates of Nigeria are defending forgery. Our religious leaders are now praying for criminal politicians for blessing. We have a crisis. And above all, our judges are now singing, "On your mandate we stand." So it is a big, I urge all of us, unexamined life is not worth living. It is time for every Nigerian to sit down and ask ourselves, where is our nation going? We need to reverse this, because the abuse we are allowing today will take its revenge on our children.
Amnesty International has called Nigerian authorities to uphold human rights and to ensure a free, fair and peaceful governorship election in Osun State come August 15, 2026. The organization says it has received disturbing reports of violence, arrests of state government officials and alleged attempts to influence the electoral process. According to Amnesty International, at least 29 people have been killed in 73 incidents across the state, with investigations indicating escalating tensions and potential for further clashes in Osogbo, Ede, Ife, Oriade, Ijebu-Jesha, Ilobu, and Ikire. The group is urging authorities to investigate the reported incidents, ensure accountability, and bring those responsible to justice. Amnesty International's Executive Director in Nigeria, Issa Sanusi, says authorities must take urgent steps to prevent further violence and ensure security agencies remain neutral throughout the electoral process. He also called on all political parties and their supporters to renounce violence. Amnesty International stressed that the people of Osun State must be allowed to exercise their right to vote freely and fairly in an atmosphere that respects human rights. Labor unions and their leaders have suspended their protests at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos and Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja following intervention from the Federal Ministry of Aviation. Flight operations were temporarily suspended earlier today owing to the industrial action by members of the unions as they picketed some airlines. This resulted in the barricading of the entrances of departure terminals at the Murtala Mohammed Airports in Lagos, as well as the local wing of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport terminals in Abuja. The blockade restricted access to these terminals for passengers of some airlines, preventing their departure of the scheduled flights from Lagos and Abuja.
He's going to Owerri from Lagos. He has a 205 flight from Airpeace. So, but I saw a mail earlier from them saying there may likely be a disruption or a total cancellation of a flight. So, dropping him off, I can see a lot of people, the crowd here. I just made a inquiry to discover that it's like Airpeace will be grounded for the entire day or even tomorrow. But it's shocking, and he came in for a very important appointment in the East, so I'm sure it's going to affect him badly. So that's the situation right now.
A Plateau State High Court sitting in Jos has ruled that the state high courts have jurisdiction to try persons accused of terrorism and terrorism-related offences under the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022. The ruling, delivered by Justice Gedalia Fome on the case involving 4 suspects accused of involvement in the March 29 Angwan Rukuba killings in Jos North Local Government Area of Plateau State. The attack, which occurred on Palm Sunday, left about 30 people dead and triggered widespread concern over security in the state. The suspects, Issa Umar Ibrahim, Adamu Issa Al-Hassan, and Walu Abubakar, as well as Musa Abubakar Ibrahim, were arrested by the Department of State Services and subsequently charged by the Plateau State government. Their lawyers had challenged the jurisdiction of the State High Court, arguing that terrorism offences under the 2022 federal law should be tried exclusively by the Federal High Court. But Justice Fomyon rejected the objection, holding that the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act does not bar the state high courts from hearing terrorism-related cases. The judge also held that the Plateau State Penal Code is not inconsistent with the federal terrorism law, maintaining that terrorism is not listed as an exclusive legislative list. Fear and uncertainty continue to hang over some communities in Kebbi State following a series of attacks and abductions that have disrupted the lives of residents from Maje, Samia, and Bakinrua in Bagudu local government area to communities in Shanga, Ngaski, and Yauri. Residents face the reality of insecurity in their homes and communities. In response, Governor Nasser Idris has visited some of the affected areas, commiserating with victims and families while assuring residents of the government's determination to restore peace.
Recent attacks and abductions in different communities have left families worried about their safety, livelihoods, and the future of their communities. For residents of Samia community in Bagudu local government area, this visit by Governor Nasser Idris comes at a time when security concerns have become part of everyday life. He meets residents and families affected by the attacks, offering condolences and assuring them that government is not ignoring their plight.
The governor decided to come here and commiserate with the people of the local government for the series of attacks they have been having. That's the purpose of our coming here today. And like you have seen, Bono was here. You have seen a lot of people, and you have seen the way Bono was received here by the people of the local government. And he has commiserated with them and appealing to them, giving them assurance that he is not sleeping. He's working restlessly to make sure that he has curtailed this current problem that we have been having in Bagudu local government.
The governor's message is one of reassurance that efforts are underway to strengthen security and create conditions for residents to return to their normal lives. From the communities, the governor visits the forward operating base in Yauri, where he inspects troops recently deployed to the state to strengthen ongoing security operations. The unscheduled visit to the front line of the security response provides an opportunity to assess the security situation and encourage the personnel involved in the operations, and also to thank the Chief of Army Staff for the additional deployment.
So I want to seize this opportunity to thank the Chief of Army Staff for finding Kebbi State worthy to send these troops so that they will assist the other troops that are here. And I want to assure you that Kebbi State government is doing everything possible to create an enabling environment for you people to operate. And also to tell you that we are together. Even if you are federal government staff, federal government send you to come to Kebbi State and work for us. And the issue of security is a responsibility of all, not only federal government. State government must to participate because it was our people that you came to scare, to assist and ensure that the people of these volatile areas are sleeping with their two eyes closed.
The governor's visit comes against the backdrop of recent security incidents across Kebbi State. And for residents who have lived through these incidents, the expectation is simple, that more than a temporary relief, the increased security presence will help restore the confidence to live, farm, and travel without fear.
When we come back on the news at 5, we're staying with security as police rescue kidnapped victims in Kogi State. That's in a moment. Please stay with us. Welcome back. The Police State Kogi Police Command has rescued about 16 passengers abducted by suspected kidnappers along the Itobe-Ayingba Highway in Ofu local government area of the state. The victims, 11 adults, including 2 personnel of the Federal Road Safety Corps and 3 children, were abducted on Sunday when suspected kidnappers attacked a bus belonging to an intercity transport company. Addressing journalists at the command headquarters in Lokoja, the state capital, the police commissioner, Mr. Naziru Kankakrofi, said the rescue operation involved a coordinated effort by the police, the Army, the Department of State Services, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, as well as local vigilantes, resulting in the neutralization of some of the kidnappers.
These men, women and children stepping down from this vehicle at the Kogi State Command Headquarters of the Nigeria Police are travelers who were abducted by suspected kidnappers along the Tobe-Ayingba Highway in the state. They were passengers traveling from Abuja to Onitsha in a bus belonging to an intercity transport company when armed men intercepted their vehicle and whisked them away into the surrounding bush. According to the police, their freedom came after a coordinated operation by the police and other security agencies who engaged the kidnappers in a fierce gun battle as the confrontation forced the criminals to flee, leaving the 16 victims behind.
Immediately the command received the information about the incident, I directed the immediate mobilization of our tactical and intelligence assets to locate the abductors, track their movement, and rescue the victims.
The police commissioner also explained how one local vigilante was killed during the encounter, while a police officer sustained gunshot injuries, adding that efforts are ongoing to track down fleeing members of the kidnapping gang.
I also want to make it clear that the operation is still ongoing. Serious efforts are being made to track down and apprehend the fleeing members of the kidnapping gang. We will continue to pursue them until they are brought to justice.
The victims narrate their ordeal.
I was following one bus for back. We are just moving fast because where we are going is far. So small time, that motor just cleared by the side. As it cleared, so you just say one do U-turn at the same time. Now I say, we can't drive this. I just dodge and small. I can't slow down. My pastor told me, say maybe he gets a signal. Now you get my man, so maybe in the danger there front. So immediately I say, make I clear and check what I could do U-turn. And I said, those kidnappers were ambushed there. So you just rushed us.
The place that those guys attacked us, I will not lie to you. Like, army checkpoints will be like, reach 1 kilometer away army checkpoint, where those guys were shooting their gun.
The police continues to call on residents to remain vigilant and provide credible information that could help security agencies identify and apprehend criminals operating across the state.
More security matters. The newly deployed Assistant Inspector General of Police, Zone 15, Maiduguri, Basi Samuel Ewa, is assuring residents of Borno and Yobe states of maximum utilization of community policing in the two states. Mr. Samuel Ewa, who assumed office as the 7th AIG of the zone, promises to work closely with the general public and police officers, especially those who know the terrain of both states, to provide adequate protection for communities. He adds that discipline will be one of his major priorities to ensure better policing, as he appeals to residents to support the fight against crime by providing relevant information to the police command.
I'm going to get members of the public to take charge of this police. We need them. They need us. So that's why I talked about confidence. Once people have confidence in us, they can come to us with information that will be used seamlessly to nip crime in the bud. So that's going to be our focus, community-driven policing. I believe in transparency. We are going to police you with transparency, honesty, and determination to reduce crime and criminality to the barest minimum. In the same way, we are not averse to criticism. We'll keep our doors open so that you can reach out to us even before you start shouting out there where our men have done something wrong. And I promise you swift response. We will work hard to curtail all excesses by our officers. In the same way, we will expect you to cooperate with us in doing that. Report the truth, report it dispassionately. I am privileged to be working with a crop of officers who are seasoned and know the terrain. I am privileged also to be taking over from the retiring AG, who is my own coursemate. He also took over from another of our coursemate. So I am going to be building on what they have done so far.
On business news, the United Capital has forecast a drop in inflation following the temporary easing of tensions between the United States and Iran. However, Chief Economist United Capital PLC, Mr. Ayodele Akinwumi, says sustaining the decline will require an expansion of domestic production as stronger local industries could produce or help reduce import dependence, stabilize prices, and strengthen the naira.
Early in the year, we released a forecast that by mid of the year, we will likely have single-digit inflation rates. But then because of the war that started in February 28th, that did not happen. Of course, energy prices went up. What we have been discussing now, in fact, affected all prices all over the world, and we are seeing what we are seeing. But then the fact that we are producing here, we were exporting, Nigeria benefited from the increase in crude oil prices. We were able to get more revenue and then help to stabilize the foreign exchange market. And therefore, even despite the increases in some of those, the crude oil prices, we were able, the country was resilient, and we were able to augment for it in terms of stable exchange rates. And that's one of the reasons why we continue to support local content. It means that we are less responsive to the external shocks, and therefore helps to create jobs in the first place, and then help to moderate the consumer prices that we are paying for.
The Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission says Nigeria's public-private partnership model is blazing the trail for Africa's trade future with a $3.1 billion continental customs modernization deal under the AFCFTA. The ICRC Director General, Dr. Jobson Osedion, said Nigeria's homegrown Bodogo Unified Customs Management System, or the Bodogo Unified Customs Management System, developed under the Trade Modernization Project, has been adopted as the model for the AFCFTA Customs Modernization Project. They said the 20-year concession agreement signed by the AFCFTA Secretariat with the Bergsman Security Consultants will deploy the Nigerian solution across roughly 50 member countries to serve a market of 1.3 billion people. The ICRC says the AFCFTA validates Nigeria's PPP framework and positions a Nigerian company as an infrastructure exporter to the continent. And that's the news at 5. Thank you for watching. I'm Joker Rogers.